And if we really think about God, God is about love. And given a choice between, a word that talks about love and a philosophy that talks about division, I'm much more attracted to the word of love. So we have so very many offshoots of God, how we worship God, and so much that says that our way, and right now I'm specifically talking about what is the majority religion in this country, and that is Christianity.
Exactly.
And in Christianity, it states that except that if you don't get to the Father unless you come through, accept as your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, there are 6 billion people in the world. Mm-hmm. There are 2 billion Christians. That leaves 4 billion non-Christians. So y'all going to hell.
Well, that's probably one of the most powerful forms of intimidation. If you don't believe my way, if you don't call God by the same name I call God, then I can kill you, I can steal you, I can lynch you, I can castrate you, I can enslave you, I can do everything that violates the commandment of God, thou shalt not kill. If you don't agree with my interpretation of God, those acts in and of themselves are ungodly. But people never stop to look at how specific religions have been used to commit some of the most heinous acts ever imagined.
Are you anti-religion?
No, I'm not. I feel very strongly that every person has a right and a responsibility to interpret the Creator through their own cultural lens, and no one has the right to come into your home and kill you or enslave you simply because you call the Creator by a different name. I submit, given the religious mandates that have ruled the world for the last 2,000 years, more people have been killed in the name of God than will ever be saved by God. So if we stop and look at this madness that has been going on, and that's what it is. The madness is going on in the so-called Middle East. The madness is going on with the so-called war on terror. I just came from the South. I just came from Alabama. And folk in Selma, Alabama are still fighting the Klan, the same Klan that would burn a cross before they lynched my great-grandfather. How do you reconcile these differences? You mentioned Reverend Willie Wilson a few minutes ago. Reverend Wilson wrote a book a number of years ago and talked about his experiences at Howard's Divinity School, and that every student in Howard's Divinity School takes a course on Reverend C.C. Jones. Reverend C.C. Jones was the 19th century minister who wrote a book called The Religious and Oral Instruction for the Negro. His book came about as a result of white folk in the South being afraid that enslaved Africans were going to rise up and kill them. So after 200 years of this nation, the United States of America, forbidding enslaved Africans to be Christians, Reverend C.C. Jones came up with a process by which we can introduce the enslaved African population into Christianity by giving them specifically passages in the Bible that said that God ordained slavery, which means that God ordained there must be a slave and a slave master. And he specifically selected those passages that said, slave, obey your master. And then they would find a black man who they could easily control, and they would give him these oral instructions because it was forbidden at that time for black folk to know how to read or write. So he would give them these oral instructions, and after he had memorized these texts, they then, for the first time in our enslavement here in America, gave black folks Sundays off, so that we can sit out in the field and listen to this Negro now parrot what this white preacher told him in order to pacify the Negroes. And so it's that indoctrination which manifests itself in all of our churches, specifically the black churches, all throughout this country. Every Sunday morning, we get that interpretation. That's why we are so passive. That's why we are willing to turn the other cheek. But no other Christian American is willing to turn the other cheek.